Do I need to quote Ted Turner, Bill Clinton, Jacques Cousteau, Maurice Strong, Henson at NASA? Do I need to quote all the documents as I've done over and over again in the video clips? They want you poor. Just like, what did Russell Means say in that film we did with him, Welcome to the Reservation? Welcome to the reservation. And it's true. Everything that was tested out on the Native Americans is the worldwide model. They want you in controlled areas, not self-sufficient. That's why they're targeting Amish. That's why they're targeting, while I was out west, they're giving the Navajo Homeland Security is setting up a national ID card for them to track them and control them. And sure enough, I did research. It's the women contingent. And I'm not even attacking these women. They're attacking them all. Hitler said, first you get the women, then you got the children, so follow the men. We have a nation where men are encouraged to act like little boys forever, and where the women are encouraged to be the boss. And you see it in feminism. You see it everywhere today. And society is wrecked. Totally and completely wrecked and falling apart. Men think manhood is painting themselves up and getting drunk and going and screaming at a football game. And folks, I'm not judging you because you like a football game. I sat there last night and enjoyed it. It was a good football game. But I knew that it wasn't important at the end of the day. I mean, I watched people on the sidelines when it was back and forth in the game, totally freaked out on both sides, like their child was under the operating knife, like their child was having open heart surgery and might die. I mean, I saw the full-grown men and women, everybody just, Meanwhile, they don't care about their bank accounts. They don't care about the future of the country. They don't care. It's all false. They create these false avenues, and the system's using it for that. And I just want you to be conscious of that. I just want you to be conscious of what's happened to our society. And I want to reach more people. I want you to spread Infowars.com. I want you to get it out to your email list. I want you to get it out to your church, your synagogue, your mosque, your whatever you're into, your atheist group, whatever. We've got to get focused, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to get these bankers out of here. They're now admitting a world government run by Goldman Sachs and the other members of the Federal Reserve. It's in AP today that the Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank are really one bank. I've told you that forever. It's just the details are secret. But we know about the original deal in 1913. I told you the bailout went to Europe mainly. Folks, we study this. We know where it's going. It's not going a nice place. We got to get off this train. We got to get off this train. Your calls are coming up. And all I want to do is warn the people. Please help me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just so desperate to turn this around. I'm so desperate. Now, when you read Rockefeller Foundation documents where they were developing in the 60s stuff added to vaccines just to reduce fertility without telling the public, you see the White House science czar shooting his mouth off about it. You understand you're under a geoengineering program. God, just the stuff we know is so horrible. I don't even want to imagine. I don't even want to imagine, because every time I imagine something, I'm able to go do research and discover it's happening. If you can think of it, they're doing it. If you can think of it, and that's the key, they say, to military operations and espionage and all of it, is getting into the enemy's mind, and I've done it. And I can see right through their eyes, and it is unbelievable. It is hyper-total dominance. What is the most pure form of dominance? It is killing. It is just getting rid of your enemy. If you exterminate every last creature, then you have dominated it. Our ancestors in Europe exterminated the giant cave bear, hunted them into extinction. Once the prey, now the predator. The same with the big-toothed cats, all of them. Snakes in many areas of the world have been hunted to extinction. Many species of shark. The New World Order are humans that are predators And the prey is their own species. They're cannibals. They're social and psychological cannibals. And I don't like being the prey. You may like being prey. I don't. You may like the enemy feeding on you. I don't. You may like their designs and think they're cute. I don't. I run into so many, and this is really a key point that I'm going to your calls. I run into so many people who think they're part of the establishment, who will, I run into chemists, biologists, doctors, it's normally that type of professional in the scientific field, who will say, okay, but there are too many people, Alex. And that's another argument. And I look at them for the sake of argument, and I'll say, let's say there is. So you're for this. And they're like, well, something's got to be done. And I look at them and I say, so you like your food and water being messed with? They're like, no, I didn't say that. Well, that's the reality, idiot. You aren't on the winning team, moron. And that goes for you sociopath and psychopath cops and people out there. You think you're winners working for this? You think you're allowed to engage in all this crime and taser old people to death and stuff just came out this week? You think they're hiring all these pedophiles and perverts at the TSA because they're going to stop there? You think they're converting the police and military over to gangbangers and crooks just because it's fun and because they want to give you some power? You are sitting there weaving your own rope, sticking it around my neck and sticking it around your neck, and you're idiots. You're idiot scum. You're weak. Someone who's strong wants to build up humanity. Someone who's strong wants to defend the weak, not chew their guts out. But you'd never know that because you're soulless and you're turned over to wickedness. And the only satisfaction I have is to know that you're going to be caught in your own trap. You're going to fall into your own pit. Cowardly trash. I could break your neck. I could sever your head with my two hands. You scum. Now we're coming back after this break with phone calls. And as you can tell, I'm rested. All right, I'm going to your phone calls. And I'll get into all the Mideast news, ClimateGate tube, JFK whitewashing, MF Global, 3 billion missing now. Says the regulators won't tell the public. They say the first time ever. Reuters reports they won't tell them where the money went. Well, of course they won't. The regulators are getting the money. Like 4 years ago with Henry Paulson getting 200 and something mil of bailout money he gave himself. I mean, we've reached a new Twilight Zone level where GMO crops infect your crops and you get in trouble for it, or radiation blows out of a reactor melting down and then you get in trouble for it. I mean, that's actually in the news today. We're entering the land of la-la, the land of criminal. All right, I'm going to your calls. I want to show Prisonplanet.tv viewers something. Kurt Nemo's here working hard on this post-holiday day. We were sent this in. Rob Dew is going to go over and get some footage of it. But I've talked about these billboards up all over the country pushing Get Motivated with the war criminal Colin Powell, who knowingly got up and lied about anthrax, knowing that they were mobile, British-made hydrogen blimp trucks. It was in Jane's Weapons Quarterly. We actually looked at them and saw them on the news and went to Jane's Weapons Quarterly online and made the announcement 9 years ago, about 6 months before the war started or whatever, and actually broke that they were hot air balloon artillery directing systems. They would rig cameras on them and then run them up, 10,000 feet, and then, direct artillery with it. In the Iran-Iraq War, the U.S. and England armed them. McChrystal helped cover up the murder of Pat Tillman. Giuliani helped cover up the truth of 9/11. And that they were doing a drill of the towers being attacked that day. He said they were, then he got caught, then he said that they weren't, then he testified before Congress that they were. So 9/11's an inside job, got painted on Giuliani. Yellow cake, war criminal, lying about the uranium out of Niger, is for Colin Powell. So Giuliani, Colin Powell, and the other guy, McChrystal, they all got spray painted, or I don't know, that's signs that are stuck up there. I'm not sure. But that's, we think, yeah, it's poster board. So it's not even spray paint. Interesting. Yeah, and I thought it looked really, really bright. So I guess they didn't even damage the all-powerful, almighty billboard. That's probably a good idea. You know, what's a bigger crime? Putting some poster board up on a billboard to make a political statement that's incredibly protected under the First Amendment, or to lie to the public to take you to war and to tell the public torture is cool. You know, I watched Clockwork Orange yesterday, and you know, it's a dystopic novel on a police state future where they hire the thugs, the street gangs, to become the police, and then they waterboard people. And then the state itself is involved, which is run by psychopaths, in social engineering of the general public and using operant Pavlovian Skinner-type conditioning on the public, which is what the entire society is. I mean, do you like being in a petri dish manipulated? That's my point. 99% of the political views out there are literal petri dish stimuli, false paradigm, limited spectrum information. You've got to get full spectrum understanding to see how the world works. You've got to study sociology, anthropology, psychology, a basic history, military history, religious history, because humans act the same, and the elites use the same playbooks that have worked. They just soup them up and turbocharge them today. And then they write books. It's incredible. All the time I read globalist documents that are public that are exact things I've thought of word for word, and then it's them separately decades before saying it the same way, but from a position of supporting it. I have organically seen what they're doing thousands of times, and then in hundreds of cases later run into them saying exactly that. The real science on this planet is human manipulation. If you know that science, you get everything else. You get the factories, you get the weapons, you get the women, you get the power. And after you've had total power over civilizations, you start trying to change humans. And then you say, why not just get rid of them? There's too many of them at the Grand Canyon. There's too many of them, you know, in the airways. They're eating up too much of the resources. Just kill them. Well, how do we do that? We teach them to hate themselves by feeling sorry for the animals. We don't really care about the animals in the earth, but we'll have them turn their own survival instinct against themselves and think of the earth as what matters and not themselves. Now watch and learn. And people will sit there and call for their own destruction, thinking it's fashionable and cool, while all the while doing nothing to actually help the earth. Okay, let's go to your calls. I'm going to shut up now. I've got so much more to cover, though. George is up next. Brandon in Pennsylvania. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex, how are you doing?
I am good.
Well, I would not believe how hard they push vaccines if I hadn't seen it for myself. My wife and I recently had our second child. There's 3 doctors in my hometown of Dover, Pennsylvania.